do my hair or trim my mustache or something?
They only see my ugly mug is the only thing they're seeing. So that's unfortunate. Yeah. I haven't had the capability yet of hooking more than one people into that system. I'm working on that. I'm updating my computer. I'm trying to do all that stuff here. So,
well, let me tell you what. Don't put a lot of faith in YouTube getting you to where you need to be.
Probably not. I know that, but right now it's my only option I have.
I can't go live on YouTube anymore. Won't let me.
They banned you?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. They'll ban you too if you keep talking about these things.
Okay. Awesome.
I'll help you figure out how to get it done, though. How to get it distributed.
All right.
So that, I mean, there's better ways.
I'm sure there is. Waylon Turnus, good morning. Good to have you along in YouTube Live. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Stations, let me know if you're with me, ready to go. Good morning. Studio lighting looks new. No new lighting in the studio, Wayne.
I'm a beam of light. What are you talking about?
You are a beam of light, Trent. You are. You know the difference between it's all natural lighting, so like in the wintertime it's dark as heck in my studio, and now the sun has been up for a while.
Now you got too much light and you're glaring.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know if I ever glare. Had Medicine Rocks bull sale yesterday, went pretty good.
Oh yeah, how many did they sell?
Right around 85 or so, I think they had 80, 85.
Nice.
Yeah. Up a little bit from last year, so that was good for them. No runaway bulls or nothing. It was just steady all the way through. All the way to the end.
Hey, that's a good sale. That's better than a $50,000 bull, and then the rest of them at $1,200.
Yeah. That is true.
I don't think anybody sells bulls at $1,200 anymore, but beside the point.
I think everybody's bottom is like $2,000.
Yeah.
2 or 25 or something like that. They'll take them home and sell them private treaty for that. Well, what's the topic today? They're asking on YouTube. We're talking about 30 by 30 land grab again. Not sure who that means. Greg Siemens, morning. Ooh. Fog and 85% humidity this morning in Hettinger area. Okay.
I ate that steakhouse the other night in Hettinger about a month ago. That's a really good place. What's it called?
Steakhouse in Hettinger. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not Pastime, is it?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Is it Pastime? Okay. Yeah. Well, I haven't
eaten. It was really good.
Yeah, I haven't eaten over there in a long time.
I think I called you and you failed to come and meet me for like the 4th time.
That is probably true. I'm sorry. It's a tough time of year, man.
2 times this week.
It's a tough time when you're calving.
Well, for those of us that have a breeding program where you don't need to assist them, it's all good. It's just a bed of roses every day.
I haven't had to assist. I just have to be around just in case I need to assist. Damn guy. All right, those watching on YouTube, we're going to start here in about 5 minutes. So we got a break at 15 after and 30 after, Trent, just to remind you. Karen from KOLY in Mobridge, good morning.
Hey, Karen, I don't have that affiliate. What's up with that?
You don't have her?
Is that a Dakota Radio Group station?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, why do I have KGFX but not Mobridge?
Karen, you're listening here. Do you guys play Trent Loos on the Mobridge side? Let me know. They might do it. I'm not positive on that.
I don't think so. I maybe wouldn't know. KGFX was one of my first 4 affiliates ever in Pierre.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Chuck Hansen in Pier is good to go. KGFX.
There's Chuck. Hey, Chuck.
Everybody's logging in now, boys. Well, Vilsack's doing a bang-up job of trying to implement new programs for this thing, isn't he?
I really can't speak about Vilsack in public because he goes against everything my mom said to not do.
Well, we have to speak about it a little bit today.
Let me just tell you about Tom Vilsack. I've been doing radio interviews for 21 years, and I've always worked on interviewing people that I don't agree with because I like discussing issues that I don't agree with respectfully. And I've done a fair job at that. Probably could do better. Scott, the only person in 21 years to hang up on me, Tom Vilsack.
Doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah.
Karen also said they do not carry your program in Mobridge, so they're going to work on that.
Chuck, talk to Karen, get her straightened out. We were talking about Michelle Obama's ill-guided school lunch program.
Yeah.
And Vilsack just got, well, Trent, I don't even know why we're having this conversation. Boom, hung up. Thanks. That's a nice Secretary of Agriculture right there.
I think he's more of the vegan of anything. I don't trust him.
He actually birthed my career.
He did?
Literally.
By hanging up on you?
No.
Oh.
When you tell me when I need to shut up so we can get going.
I will.
Because I'm just doing interesting, non-topic stuff.
Yeah.
When 21 years ago, when I had a notion to do radio, he was the governor of Iowa, and he was putting so many regulations and rules and ridiculous parameters in place for farmers in Iowa. They were calling me to come and host public meetings and talk about how to deal with this governor. And so as a result, he truly took Loose Tales to a new level.
Nice.
Yeah.
Should send him a bouquet of flowers thanking him.
Actually, I'm going to call him because he did something really stupid again this week. I want to get back in touch with him. But yeah, it's just the way he is. But he was the worst agricultural governor the state of Iowa ever had. And there are not many people that argue with you.
And now he's head of the USDA.
Secretary of Agriculture.
Or Secretary of Ag, yeah. Awesome.
All right, I'm quiet till you call on me.
Well, we got 60 seconds on it, so we're in the 60-second standby mode here is where we're at. All right. Stations, let's see here. Stations, 45 seconds coming up. 45 seconds on mark. $30 seconds. 30 seconds. 15-second stations. 15. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of Dakota Prairie Outdoors. I'm Scott Bachmeyer here, and the weekend looking pretty darn good here. A bit warmer temperatures for those who are still calving, and those still out chasing turkeys and getting turkey hunting done across the Dakota Territory. Today's show brought to you by Action Motorsports on the Strip in Mandan. Action Motorsports encourages you to take advantage of the Polaris Ag Advantage program that they have going on right now. That's 10% off any new Ranger, General, or Sportsman ATVs and UTVs just by being part of feeding the world as an agricultural producer. Action Motorsports also carries all the accessories for your rig, whether you're pulling calves or pulling that deer out of the deep canyons. It's the Polaris Ag Advantage, only at Action Motorsports on the Strip in Mandan. Last week, we were discussing the 30 by 30 land grab and how the feds are going to use different conservation programs and different conservation groups to help get this done. I had such a huge response here last week that I felt it was necessary to discuss this matter a little bit further this week. Again, my guest to help me sort this executive order out is the legend of radio and screen. Good morning, Trent Loos. How are you, sir?
Legend according to who? and of screen?
Yes.
I'm being screened already? We just started. You can't screen me yet.
Huge movie star, buddy. Huge movie star.
Yeah. Hey, people are still watching The Stand at Paxton County on Netflix, and about, twice a day somebody says, that movie is pretty good.
It is a good movie. It's a great movie.
Sadly inspired by a true story, which kind of leads us into what we're going to talk about today, because it's all about too much federal control.
Yeah, it is. And so last week I had Margaret Byfield on with me, and I know you were in Lewistown and Rapid City doing some, information meetings about this 30 by 30 land grab. And I got in trouble by calling it a land grab by a certain conservation group that called me after last Saturday's program. And we had a spirited discussion, but they didn't call while we were on the air. But they said, it's not a land grab. It's not a land grab. So I have text message already coming in here about people. This is an important deal for these folks here, especially if you're in the egg producing side, and those of us that have to deal with either BLM land, Bureau of Land Management. I have to clarify that because people think that stands for burning, looting, and murder now, and Forest Service property. So it's kind of an important deal right now.
Okay, if you don't call it a land grab, you need to tell me what it is, because here we have the federal government that says we already own 33% of the U.S. landmass. We now have a program we're going to roll out that we're going to have another 30% on top of that we're going to completely control. So that 60% of the U.S. landmass that we want completely under our control. If you want to call that something other than a land grab, then you need to explain that to Scott and I.
Mm-hmm. And you can do that by calling 888-932-5682, toll-free number 888-932-5682. Call in if you have any questions, comments about what we're talking about today. Let's get right to it here. First off, Gene Cox down in the Mobridge area says the mustache is legendary. So there you go, Trent.
Hey, I'm just glad he got out of the butcher trailer to come and join us today. Thanks, Gene.
The text message comes in. It says, a new CRP program with higher rent and bonuses for enticing producers. Latest bribe leading into the 30 by 30. And actually, that was one of the topics I was going to just bring up here, because on one of the websites I have here is the USDA is coming out with more, as they call, incentives to put your land in CRP programs.
Yeah, so are we depopulating the earth, or what's the need for fewer acres of food production? That's my question. We currently have 35 million acres in CRP. You are subject to them taking your land. I had a gentleman, actually former senator from Montana, come up to me, Senator Butcher, in Lewistown, and he said, Trent, have you read the fine print on a CRP agreement? And I have not, because I've never had a government program.
Right.
But he said they wanted me to sign one of these. And when I read the fine print, it was like, if they decide they want to come and take it totally, they can. Mm-hmm. And who's read the fine print? That's the question. And one thing that you said, Scott, that I want to just clarify, and I know Margaret and I have been together for the last 3 weeks, actually. We were in Stillwater, Oklahoma. We're in Valentine, Nebraska. We were in Lewistown. We're in Rapid City, where you never showed up.
You ain't going to let me forget this, are you?
No, I'm not. We're in Rapid City at the Elks Theater. You're the best place you and I could get together. Once again, you didn't show up. But we think they're going to use conservation programs. We don't know that. But because the response is supposed to be back to the White House by Tuesday. It's Tuesday the 27th. So it was 90 days. There's 2 paragraphs in an executive order on January the 27th that says by 2030, we're going to have 30% of the land and oceans restored to its natural state for climate crisis mitigation. That's what it says. That's all it says. And then it says And we expect the Bureau of Land Management, which is in the Department of Interior, and the USDA to get back to us within 90 days on how we're going to do this. So at this day and moment in time, we don't have a clue what they think they're going to do. We just know what we think they're going to do.
Well, I think we have a pretty good idea of how their thought process is going to work. In fact, earlier this week here, was it 3 days ago, the USDA is offering, let's see here, Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack has come out in favor of the USDA operating as a potential carbon bank for U.S. producers that want to participate in carbon markets. So they're already offering different so-called, and I say this in air quotes, conservation practices. So you can sign your land up and get a kickback. And that's, I think, one of the ways they're using conservation, or trying to say the word conservation so it sounds better.
Right. They use the word conservation to plant a seed in people's mind. But I repeat, we don't know what they think they're going to accomplish. And by the way, if you truly want to be a conservationist, you'll turn the land over to a farmer, a rancher, a landowner that manages it to its best optimum performance. And I'm talking about performance. I'm talking about building soil health, improving the overall ecosystem for all species. Private ownership accomplishes that, not some federal government program or state program or non-NGO program. Individual ownership accomplishes that, Scott.
It does. I agree. Now, there's an argument in some aspects, and I'm going to bring this up, is some landowners possibly might not take care of their land as well as some other landowners do. Overgrazing, possibly, not taking care of weeds or water projects. And when you look at that, I think of the Forest Service right away, is because they don't do much for weed control. It's very difficult. The last 4 years was easy to get some projects done, but now it's a little bit tougher to get water projects on that Forest Service property. But Trent, we're up against our first break here. We'll continue this discussion on the other side. No, not already.
Yes, I got more to say in this segment.
You can't. We're going to stop, and we have people texting me, and if you want to do that, you can text your comments at 701-425-6651. That's 701-425-6651. Call in and join the conversation. 888-932-5682. That's 888-9-DAKOTA is the number, a toll-free number to call in here today. Trent Loos is my guest. And we're talking about the 30 by 30 land grab here. We talked about it last week, and we're going to continue discussing this and trying to get the nuts and bolts here and see what we can dig up and try to figure out and against this executive order that was done already on January 27th. And a lot of hunting groups don't even know about this just yet. We'll be back with more right here on Dakota Prairie Outdoors Saturday edition.
For over 80 years, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your locally owned hometown bank, an honor we take great pride in. And our customer satisfaction has always been our most important goal. We've gone along with the communities we serve and will continue to do so with our pledge of modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. From remote deposit options to online mortgage applications, we are happy to serve you wherever you are. Learn more at dakotacommunitybank.com. That's dakotacommunitybank.com.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Our outdoor heritage is important to North Dakotans, and the state's oil and natural gas industry is advancing the possibilities for conservation. The North Dakota Outdoor Heritage Fund receives up to $40 million per biennium from oil and natural gas taxes. The industry is reclaiming land for future generations, and it's developing our state's natural resources in harmony with our great outdoors and wildlife. North Dakota Oil and Natural Gas, advancing the possibilities. Brought to you by the North Dakota Petroleum Foundation.
Pfeiffer's Western team of Andy Murdoch and Jim Savvy would like to invite you to sit down and talk about the future of land planning. Whether you're looking at selling, buying, or options to hand it down to the next generation, Andy and Jim will lay out all of the options for you. It's a great time to buy or sell, and with interest rates to make it profitable. Pfeiffer's Western team, Andy Murdoch and Jim Savvy. For more information or land updates, go to Pfeiffer's.com. Rockin' 7W has all the panels you need. Freestanding panels, windbreak panels, feeder panels, and the original protester panel. If you don't know what that is, it's a sort panel that makes sorting calves from a cow a breeze. You can do it in a fraction of time with just one person on foot or horseback. You can custom order sizes to fit your current operation, or you can start from scratch. Rockin' 7W also does trailer repair on any size trailers, mobile welding, and custom cattle hauling. Call Justin at Rockin' 7W at 701-206-1030. That's 701-206-1030. Rockin' 7W, the farmer and rancher's go-to guy. MoPro Guide Service, the best on Lake Oahe. Brent and his staff will give you the most enjoyable fishing experience, always having the latest in electronics, gear, and the most comfortable Lund boat on the water. Fish with somebody who lives in Mobridge, South Dakota, the heart of Lake Oahe. If you need a place to stay, the Mo Rest Motel has newly updated rooms with free internet. A family-owned and operated business. Go to OaheWalleyes.com. That's OAHE Walleyes.com for the best fishing experience Lake Oahe has to offer.
As an independent insurance agency, Dakota Community Insurance partners with leading insurance companies to offer products that are designed around you and your farm insurance needs. As a leader in farm and ranch insurance, we can help you to minimize the risk to you and your operation, including farm equipment, livestock, farm buildings, and crops. Stop into your local branch to visit with our insurance agent or visit DakotaCommunityBank.com. You can rely on us when nature strikes. Dakota Community Insurance.
At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
MoPro Guide Service, the best on Lake Oahe. Brent and his staff will give you the most enjoyable fishing experience, always having the latest in electronics, gear, and the most comfortable Lund boat on the water. Fish with somebody who lives in Mobridge, South Dakota, the heart of Lake Oahe. If you need a place to stay, the Mo Rest Motel has newly updated rooms with free internet. A family-owned and operated business. Go to OaheWalleyes.com. That's OAHE Walleyes.com for the best fishing experience Lake Oahe has to offer.
Our outdoor heritage is important to North Dakotans, and the state's oil and natural gas industry is advancing the possibilities for conservation. The North Dakota Outdoor Heritage Fund receives up to $40 million per biennium from oil and natural gas taxes. The industry is reclaiming land for future generations, and it's developing our state's natural resources in harmony with our great outdoors and wildlife. North Dakota Oil and Natural Gas, advancing the possibilities. Brought to you by the North Dakota Petroleum Foundation.
Don't you worry, one day I'll settle down. And when that time comes, I hope you're still around. I hope you're still around. I hope you're still around.
Welcome back, everybody. Saturday edition of Dakota Prairie Outdoors, all across the Dakota Territory. KGFX in Pierre, South Dakota, KOLY in Mobridge, K-Fire 550, Bismarck, Mandan, KLTC in Dickinson, and KCJB in Minot. Good to have you stations along with me and everybody watching on my YouTube live channel. That is Dakota Prairie Outdoors Radio. My guest is Mr. Trent Loos. As during the break here, you got to say hi to my lovely bride there, Trent. There you go.
Yeah, I miss Dixie. That's the moral of the story.
I do too.
I got a kink or two in my back that she should fix, I think.
That's exactly what everybody says when they see her.
I know. I can imagine.
Well, we're talking 30 by 30 land grab, Mr. Trent Loos, and I have a couple text messages here. Clay Peterson says hello, and he says, sad thing is, it's just another 30%, but an overall goal of at least 50%. And yeah, people are concerned about it no matter where you go.
And by the way, that 50 by 50 by 2050 has not been spoken by this White House administration, but it does come from the directives that we see the language from the Centers for American Progress and directly from the United Nations. I mean, the same issues are coming to the forefront in Canada and other countries around the world. So I just want to point out that this is not something that's just happening in the United States. The same language and momentum is being attempted in every single country.
He says, he just texted, he says it's coming out of the United Nations is the one that's doing it or saying it.
Yeah. Did you hear me just say that?
Yeah. I'm taking care. I'm producing my own program here, my friend.
I know what you're doing. I just fun for me to be on the other end, not worried about who's sending what, if it's working, if it's getting out. I'm just sitting here having a good time talking, so it's all good.
Gene Cox says carbon credits. Someone else stands to make money off of this. So yeah.
Scott, I don't want to change the direction, but I want to put it in perspective for anybody that thinks, well, maybe there's some good parts to this 30 by 30. It's also encompassed in the last 2 weeks by an administration and a White House press conferences that has said, I want to take your guns away. I want you to reduce your meat consumption by 90%. We're going to control the land. And, oh, by the way, we're going to shut down oil and gas, period. And we're going to have 65% of the cars by 2030 running on electricity. Now, all of this is really troubling to me because I just spent 2 wonderful days with the Lignite Energy Council in Bismarck. And the theme, and I had Mike Nazi presented from Texas saying, hey, what did we learn with these rolling blackouts in February? What we learned was that we were 4 minutes away from a complete destruction of the electric grid in the United States of America. Not just in Texas, in the United States. And he is pointing out on a graph that in July of this summer, this industry is predicting that we are going to once again have a higher demand for electricity than we can produce. Because we have, in Texas alone, 34% of the electric grid is now supplied from wind and solar, and it's not sustainable. So how does this all tie to 30-30? It's not practical. It's about controlling your life and not allowing the entrepreneurs of this country to continue to implement property rights to improve the land and improve human health around the world. And if you can't see that this is part of the bigger picture, then you're simply not paying attention. Because unless you're going to go hunting on land that you don't have access to with a slingshot and then can't eat what you harvest, you're not going to fit into what their vision of our future is.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. See, when you agree with somebody, it's hard to take the devil's advocate side of things. But there are groups out there, Trent, especially hunting groups, or I don't know if you can call them hunting groups or wildlife conservation groups, that are okay with this.
Land grab group. People call them land grab group.
Yeah. Well, and that's what worries me.
Scott, I can show you a plethora of science. And my favorite bit of science actually came from a gentleman in Elko, Nevada. He documented that migratory fowl utilizes land grazed by cattle 17 times more than land that sits idle. And this really comes back to the whole notion of what should land be doing. I can show you scientific report after scientific report that when you have grazing animals in areas of cellulose material, i.e. grass, forbs, whatever the case may be, it improves the overall health of the grass. The healthier the grass, the more greenhouse gases which are absorbed, because greenhouse gases are not toxic pollutants, they're actually plant food. It produces more plant food and it feeds more animals. It's called the cycle of life. And we've got a moron named John Kerry this week. This week, John Kerry, Secretary of State, said, or he's the climate change crisis mitigator, whatever his title is. He said, we will eliminate all carbon from the atmosphere. That kills everything. It has a purpose. It's not a toxic pollutant. And this guy said, we're going to eliminate it from the atmosphere. That ceases life as we know it. But that's the ignorance of what we're talking about that's trying to be implemented today.
I'm still playing back and forth here with
how can you respond to that? Because here's a guy who we trust and somebody put in a position of authority that truly doesn't understand the atmosphere and how the world works. And the bigger picture here, and what I'm trying to get at, is that you have more animals, whether they be wildlife, whether they be owned animals by farmers and ranchers. They consume more grasses because animals eat grass, people eat animals, and everything feeds off of itself. When you start disrupting the system and you reduce the number of animals, as they have done on federal land in the West, and what has happened is reduced the harvesting of timber and the reduction of grazing. We've had the largest fires because we returned that land to its natural state, like 3030 says we need to do. We've had the largest fires in the history of modern era. We can't talk about pre-1776, but we can talk about particularly since 1862. And it's because we have such a high fuel load. Oh, and by the way, one fire in Elko County, Nevada, in the summer of 2016, contributed more particulates and greenhouse gases to the atmosphere than the top 10 oil companies did for 10 years. So if you want to return it to its natural state, you're going to have Mother Nature controlling it, and that is destructive.
Yeah. Text message comes in all over here. We got plenty for you to go here. Biden's transportation bill gives more money to electric cars than bridges, highways, ports combined. And that's one of the concerns because Biden had his virtual climate change kind of meeting with world leaders this week. And that's all I heard what the media cover was how everything's going to move to electric vehicles. And another one is
electric vehicles and electric heat in your home. It also said that you cannot use natural gas or oil in your house heating. And I repeat, Scott, I already said we've learned that we are not producing enough electricity to keep up with the demand now. How are we going to do this? Because I got news for you. Electricity does not come from the outlet.
Comes from coal mining is when it comes from, right here. We have some of the best right in the state of North Dakota, my friend.
Absolutely, we do.
Yeah. A text comes in and says it's all about control. That's all they care about is the control of the property and what we do. That's not the America I remember reading about in history class.
Yeah, the sad part is it's not the America that so many men and women have risked everything to fight for our freedom since 1776 in the name of the United States military either. And so I, along with you, in bringing it up and having this discussion, have decided that, it's my contribution. So many men and women have maintained our freedom. I'm not going to lose it on my watch.
Yeah. The toll-free number is 888-932-5682. When you call in, you're automatically switched to a hold position. And I have a couple lined up, but we're going up against a break, and I don't want to cut somebody off. I hate when you listen to talk shows, Trent, and you hear that on some talk shows. They're like, okay, go ahead, and then they cut you off right before you get to your point. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to keep you on hold until the next break, which we're up against here, Trent, and then we'll have about 20 minutes of uninterrupted fun and conversation. Trent Loos is my guest this morning on Dakota Prairie Outdoors Saturday edition, all across the Dakota Territory. And the number again, 888-932-5682. That's 888-932-5682. If you want to text comments, 701-425-6651. We'll be back after these messages.
For over 80 years, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your locally owned hometown bank, an honor we take great pride in. And our customer satisfaction has always been our most important goal. We've gone along with the communities we serve and will continue to do so with our pledge of modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. From remote deposit options to online mortgage applications, we are happy to serve you wherever you are. Learn more at dakotacommunitybank.com. That's dakotacommunitybank.com.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Our outdoor heritage is important to North Dakotans, and the state's oil and natural gas industry is advancing the possibilities for conservation. The North Dakota Outdoor Heritage Fund receives up to $40 million per biennium from oil and natural gas taxes. The industry is reclaiming land for future generations, and it's developing our state's natural resources in harmony with our great outdoors and wildlife. North Dakota Oil and Natural Gas, advancing the possibilities. Brought to you by the North Dakota Petroleum Foundation.
Piper's Western team of Andy Murdoch and Jim Sabby would like to invite you to sit down and talk about the future of land planning. Whether you're looking at selling, buying, or options to hand it down to the next generation, Andy and Jim will lay out all of the options for you. It's a great time to buy or sell, and with interest rates to make it profitable. Piper's Western team, Andy Murdoch and Jim Sabby. For more information or land updates, go to pifers.com. Rockin' 7W has all the panels you need. Freestanding panels, windbreak panels, feeder panels, and the original protester panel. If you don't know what that is, it's a sort panel that makes sorting calves from a cow a breeze. You can do it in a fraction of time with just one person on foot or horseback. You can custom order sizes to fit your current operation, or you can start from scratch. Rockin' 7W also does trailer repair on any size trailers, mobile welding, and custom cattle hauling. Call Justin at Rockin' 7W at 701-206-1030. That's 701-206-1030. Rockin' 7W, the farmer and rancher's go-to guy. MoPro Guide Service, the best on Lake Oahe. Brent and his staff will give you the most enjoyable fishing experience, always having the latest in electronics, gear, and the most comfortable Lund boat on the water. Fish with somebody who lives in Mobridge, South Dakota, the heart of Lake Oahe. If you need a place to stay, the Mo Rest Motel has newly updated rooms with free internet. A family-owned and operated business. Go to OaheWalleyes.com. That's OAHE Walleyes.com for the best fishing experience Lake Oahe has to offer.
As an independent insurance agency, Dakota Community Insurance partners with leading insurance companies to offer products that are designed around you and your farm insurance needs. As a leader in farm and ranch insurance, we can help you to minimize the risk to you and your operation, including farm equipment, livestock, buildings, and crops. Stop into your local branch to visit with our insurance agent or visit DakotaCommunityBank.com. You can rely on us when nature strikes. Dakota Community Insurance.
At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
MoPro Guide Service, the best on Lake Oahe. Brent and his staff will give you the most enjoyable fishing experience, always having the latest in electronics, gear, and the most comfortable Lund boat on the water. Fish with somebody who lives in Mobridge, South Dakota, the heart of Lake Oahe. If you need a place to stay, the Mo Rest Motel has newly updated rooms with free internet. A family-owned and operated business. Go to OaheWalleyes.com. That's OAHE Walleyes.com for the best fishing experience Lake Oahe has to offer.
Our outdoor heritage is important to North Dakotans, and the state's oil and natural gas industry is advancing the possibilities for conservation. The North Dakota Outdoor Heritage Fund receives up to $40 million per biennium from oil and natural gas taxes. The industry is reclaiming land for future generations, and it's developing our state's natural resources in harmony with our outdoors and wildlife. North Dakota Oil and Natural Gas, advancing the possibilities. Brought to you by the North Dakota Petroleum Foundation.
Don't you worry, one day I'll settle down. And when that time comes, I hope you're still around. I hope you're still around. I hope you're still around.
Welcome back, everybody. Dakota Prairie Outdoors, Saturday edition. Music right there. Music from my good friend, Benny Paulson, and a band called Breaking 8. You can find their music on all music sources, iTunes, the whole works here, Amazon Music, and the whole works. It's Breaking 8 and Benny Paulson. My guest is Trent Loos. Trent, welcome back here for the rest of the second half of the program here. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for the text message that might send everything over the edge?
I thought the first time you brought the lyrics back in with I Hope You're Still Around, which I thought, man, that's a good song. And then you did it again, and I'm thinking, what's Scott trying to tell me? Hope you're still around. He keeps telling me that.
I guess I wasn't listening to the words as closely as you were.
Yeah. Well, you've got a habit of that today, we see.
I have.
All right.
Okay, you ready?
On.
No, I don't know who sent this text message, but it's probably going to send you right over the edge. It says Trent Loos is an American.
Does it end in 8384? Because we have to. If that's the last four numbers, then
no, it does not. It says Trent Loos is an American treasure, and I thank him for coming on the radio so frequently. Then it finishes with, you should give Marty Beard a call and have him join you this morning.
He's too busy in the hyperbaric chamber. The hissing it prohibits you from hearing him. Thank you for those kind words.
Another text comes in that says these anti-fossil fuel, anti-carbon advocates are trying to bring us back to the Stone Age. They are the same people that depend on their computers, phones, microphones, etc., that are made from fossil fuels. This is something they cannot come to terms with or have enough common sense to understand. So there you go.
1 gallon of diesel fuel replaces 500 man hours in food production. So if you want to continue to eliminate fossil fuels in your life, then get a hoe and get ready to plant your potato.
Mm-hmm. There you go. 888-932-5682. Trent, we have Clay Peterson with us joining us right now. Good morning, Clay.
Hey, how we doing, guys?
Thanks for staying on hold. You're on with the American treasure, Trent Loos.
That had to be Marty. Marty had to send that.
Marty probably did send a text saying, you need to get Marty on, just so he appeared to be somebody else.
Well, hopefully he's healing up good.
I saw him this week. He's healing.
That's good to hear. That was quite an accident he had. But no, I was just calling in about this. You know, Scott had mentioned this to me a while back, and I kind of been following it, but really been diving into this 30 by 30 and then find out that the UN directive is actually 50%. And then it led me to a website with the National Caucus of Environmental Legislators. Have you heard of that, Trent?
No, I can't say that I have as a group.
You got to take a look at that. They claim they're not a lobbying group. Well, I guess technically that could be true, but they basically get state leads within the legislatures of each state and have them push their agenda. And it was no surprise that I seen Mr. Senator Tim Mathern out of Fargo, who's a rabid Democrat, anti-gun, anti-fossil fuel, pretty much anything that would be of benefit to the state of North Dakota other than a liberal agenda. He's the state lead in North Dakota.
I will tell you that Kelly Armstrong is on the committee that is to be looking at this and submitting. He's one of the Republican representatives on the committee. And so it just comes back, Clay, and I think where you're headed with this, obviously I echo loudly, make sure your elected officials know what you think about these type of land grabs and property right erosions, because they're happening. I just want to remind everybody that your thoughts are property as well. And we're at the point where we're told we can't have our own thought. You have to think like the collective system, not as an individual. And that is dangerous.
Absolutely. They want to take away that individualism, which that's where a lot of this has been leading. And it's really been ramped up since the 20th of January, in my opinion. But yeah, I was going with that. I was talking about with our senator there, our state senator from Fargo. This is what they're doing, guys. They're not worried about that national scene so much. They're coming in the back door through these state legislatures where it goes unnoticed. And I think that there's actually people finally waking up, especially in the state of North Dakota, with some of the things that are going on. But I can tell you right now, if you're not in contact with them legislators, if you're not getting involved in your district meetings, if you're not part of that machine, it's going to get worse. You got to keep an eye on them.
Yeah. Well, Clay, appreciate the phone call, my friend here. And we have some more coming in here, so we're going to let you run.
No problem. Talk to you guys later. Good to talk to you, Trent.
Thanks, Clay.
All right. We're going to go to 605 number here. Let's drop that one. Let's go to this one. It's 605 number right here. Good morning. What's your first name?
Hello, this is Morgan.
Morgan, you're on with Trent Loos. Good morning.
Hey, Trent. This is really, really pretty simple. In socialism, the state controls the means of production. Communism, they own it. The ruling class is turned into basically the bureaucrats, and that's the path they're leading us down. It's very simple.
So socialism, quite simply, yeah, absolutely, Morgan. Socialism is a capitalistic society in transition to communism. You're spot on.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is very simple. They can't come out and there's too many people willing to defend their property, so they literally can't seize it. They will find a way to coax you out of it, coax your control away from you, and then the government controls it, and there you go. Very simple.
Yeah. And here's the bad part, Morgan. It's not the first time this has happened in the history of the world. If you're just a student of history, you can see this has happened not just in Nazi Germany, but in other countries around the world. Look at what Stalin did in Russia. That's exactly what he did.
And you combine that with the high debt, low interest rates, the government trying to monetize the debt and have that collapse. It bodes very poorly for the next 50 years. It really does.
Thanks, Morgan.
Appreciate the call, Morgan. You bet.
Glad to be add some sunshine to your day. Have a good one, Trent.
Well, I tell you,
hey, you know what? I used that analogy this week once because sunshine is the answer.
It is.
And, as there's an announcement this week that the rainbow flag can now fly in the U.S. Embassy around the world. And the former ambassador to the United Nations, Kip Tom, a dear friend of mine, sent me a note this morning and said, Trent, look at this. This is just getting ridiculous. But I got a different take on that, Scott. The rainbow is God's symbol to us that he will never flood the earth again. And the rainbow only shows its brilliance when you have sun creating the energy on earth to say, hey, here's my promise. Well, that's exactly what you and I are doing, and everybody else, Margaret Byfield, is that we're providing the sun, the energy to illuminate these challenges that we have as American citizens and to say, we're going to put a stop to it. It's over. Yeah. Not on my watch.
Text message comes in back to something we discussed earlier, Trent. It says, I have an existing CRP contract. Is Trent saying language in the contract says the government can take ownership of that land enrolled?
I'm telling you that Senator Butcher from Montana told me he read it, and that's what his said. I have not read it. I've never signed one. I would encourage you to find that and read it and let me know.
Okay. And but it might be maybe on the new contracts instead of maybe existing ones.
No, it's not.
It is.
Senator Butcher was talking about a CRP contract that he refused to sign in 1986.
Right. We need to remember what CRP was originally designed for was to take highly erodible land out of production. The farming practices nowadays, Trent, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is 10 times better, probably 100 times better than it used to be back in the 80s when that big drought in the 80s came through and there was dirt blowing everywhere and even way back into the 30s. But the farming practices have changed so much. You don't see that very much anymore. You don't see the dirt blowing. You see more soil being built up, and it not only helps out with better crop production, but wildlife is gaining better nutrients now than they ever have.
You're spot on, 100%. And look at what's happening right now in most of the listening area. You've got a severe drought. I mean, Western North Dakota, it is dry.
Yeah.
And nobody has given up hope that there will not be a crop this year. Nobody's given up hope that the grass isn't going to come and feed some level of cows. Obviously, there's going to be some changes to how you manage the land and whether rain comes or not. But the soil health is the key, and we've learned so much on how to be better with soil health than we were in the 30s, during the dirty 30s. We've had 7 years of less precipitation throughout the course of history since the 30s that we had in the 30s, but we don't relive the Dust Bowl because of the very thing that you just walked us through. We have better soil health.
Yeah. Yeah, concern for me, Trent, is where I live. We're spotted around with a lot of Forest Service property all around here. And some of the ranchers very much depend on this. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they, especially in a year like this year, the Forest Service is asking for cuts on a lot of our cattle herds here, and how much we put in through the rotation through those pastures. This 30 by 30 worries, I guess, myself probably more than somebody who doesn't have to worry about the Forest Service property. But I'm trying to tie this together. Not only does it concern me because they can start telling us what we can or can't do on this even more. On the hunting side of things, too, they're already saying that they're trying to get rid of a lot of your firearms. And once you control the land, you can control who goes on there, what happens on it. And, kind of, am I worried for no reason here, or am I on the right path on my concerns?
If you are a hunter, you should be concerned, period, because all indications are this group of people want no hunting whatsoever, want no meat consumption whatsoever. I don't personally believe, this is just my gut intuition, not anything to verify it yet. I don't believe your Forest Service permits or any federal lands, ranching or grazing, will be impacted by 3030, because it appears to me they feel like they already control that.
Okay.
And what this 30 by 30 is, 30% of very productive land that they can put back into its natural state. That's their language. 30% of the land and oceans by 2030 back to its natural state. That is all deeded property, and how they're going to accomplish that is what remains to be seen. I just want to say, Scott, before we run out of time, the meeting in Lewistown, Montana this week on Monday evening was so telling, because we were obviously talking about the concerns and 30 by 30, but there were so many people that stood up and said, we've been dealing with this. All of my neighbors have already sold out because they signed on to a conservation easement back in the 70s or back in 1992, and now they're out of business. And so person after person stood up and talked about how they've been experiencing this type of erosion of property rights and forcing people out of business for 30 years. Mm-hmm. It's nothing new. And so this is just one more tool in the toolbox and by the way, when they go out of business, they sell to somebody who's offering them 3 times what the real value is to put it in American Prairie Reserve. And that is to completely turn it back to the buffalo. We have people with money who are now trying to recreate what was called the Buffalo Commons by Frank and Deborah Popper in the mid-'80s. That's exactly what's happening, removing human element from the Great Plains of America.
So you take that landowner.
By the way,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's no hunting in the Buffalo Commons either, just so you know.
So you take this landowner who is looking at retiring, Trent, and you have this organization come in and offer you 3 times of what your land is going to be worth. How can they not accept? I mean, that's how they're doing this and going to come at this, is using our tax dollars to come in and purchase or put them on a program or a carbon credit program for their property and give them all these extra incentives that, a young guy down the road that wants to expand his operation or maybe move back to the ranching community after college and try to start working some cattle in, they're not going to be able to do that anymore. I mean, that landowner is looking out for more money, I guess.
Let me know how many people in Montana you want to talk to, and I'll line them up, and they'll tell you this is exactly what's happened, because Montana was ahead of the curve. The grandeur, the big skies, the wonderful plains that we love to go visit, they've been targeted for a lot longer than we have, and they have people that have been there, done that, and have left the business.
Text comes in, says, does Trent know if anything on this will be tied to the EQIP programs?
I think that all government programs, I think that anybody who has used EQIP, CRP, you name the program, I think that you're going to be on a list to be targeted, yes. I don't want us to run out of time without saying,
4 minutes.
This is all doom and gloom.
Yep.
Oh, we have 4 minutes?
Yes.
The answer is very clear. And in the past month, I've been banging this hard, and the answer is local control. And county commissioners in our Montana meeting, we had 12 different county commissioners present. We had the county sheriff there. In Stillwater, Oklahoma, we had County Sheriff Joe Harper there. We had county commissioners there. The answer resides within your county courthouse. And we have a resolution program that you can take into your county commission and say, here's what was done in Garfield County, Colorado. You can tailor this to match your needs and your county. But the answer is get involved locally. And that clearly is the path to make it happen. And Scott, I've had so many people in the last week alone that said, you know what, Trent, in the last 2 weeks, I went to my first county commission meeting. I'm not going to miss them now. I just need to be there. And that's the answer.
On the AmericanStewards.us website, they have, correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm going to take it to our local county commissioners here in our next meeting coming up in 2 weeks. And I've already talked to a lot of our neighbors already, and they're all supporting this, behind me doing this. Do they have a format that you can print out and take to your county commissioners with these concerns and what they need to do?
There is a downloadable format of what you just described of an example resolution. I think it's the Garfield County resolution I mentioned.
Okay.
I told Margaret the last conversation I had with her before I kicked her out at the Rapid City Airport was we need to make that more user friendly.
Yeah.
But if you have any trouble with that, get a hold of Scott, get a hold of me, and I'll make it easier.
Good enough. Right at the end here, we do have a question came through YouTube watcher, and we're going to end on a light note. Are you ready for this, Trent?
I'm ready for a light note.
Says, I'd like to hear what Trent's favorite sport was, if he has one, and how did his daughter learn to love softball?
I have 3 daughters, 2 of which love softball. The other one played softball. I played baseball. And that was clearly my favorite sport. And now my favorite sport is sitting in my chair, watching my daughters play softball, because it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Do you have a sport you play now? I mean, you have to have something, pool or horseshoes or, I don't know, marathon.
Yeah, I have a sport now. It's sitting in my favorite chair, watching my daughters play softball. That's my favorite sport.
I think we could, we have a beef run. We have a 5K beef run coming up here in North Dakota. We could do that virtually. Come on, Trent. I'm trying to work in.
I can't keep up with Kathy Tokash. I'm not going to do that. So my favorite sport that I ever participated in, aside from baseball, was one day when it was 22 below in Bismarck. Marty and I decided the only thing we really had time to do was go into his brother's roping shed and played mule polo all afternoon. That
mule polo. Awesome. Marty says, Clay said that Marty texted him and said he's in a hyperbaric chamber, forgot his headphones, so he can't hear anything that we're talking about here today.
He doesn't listen anyway, so what would matter if he heard it?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, as the last 45 seconds, if people have questions, comments, concerns here, Trent, how do they get in contact with somebody that can help them with not only going to county commission or get more information on this? Is there some place more information than others?
You can go to AmericanStewards.us, or I'm going to take that sample and put it on my blog, which is loosetails.blogspot.com. And I have an email that goes out every day. I'll keep you abreast of what I'm working on anyway. loosetails.blogspot.com. Thank you, Scott. It's been too long.
All right, Trent Loos, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it. And thanks to the affiliates and the radio stations out there playing the program. Again, today's show brought to you by Action Motorsports on the Strip and Mandan. Have yourself a great weekend. Eat some meat, drink some milk, and enjoy. Stations, thank you. Trent, we're still live on the YouTube. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to give my YouTube family out here, you can sure let them have it now.
I unloaded the whole load already.
Perfect. I appreciate you coming on the program, making some time for me here on a Saturday. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you've added a lot of bells and whistles since the last time. That's all good. That sounds great.
Trying a little here, a little there.